Welcome back to the channel. Racer X here, and today I am in Oceanside, California, of all places. Flew all the way across the country from Tampa, Florida, because I have been trying to get a video for you guys of the best exhaust manufacturer in the world, their facility. It is in Oceanside. So I wanted to come here and take a look. You can actually see their semi right here beside me. That is actually what they carry their SEMA booth in, and they do a bunch of other stuff with this obviously as well. But I'm going to take a tour of their facility today, show you all about how they manufacture their products, what goes into the engineering. They do an awful lot of stuff here, and I most definitely wanted to give you a behind the scenes look at what they do. If you guys are brand new to the channel, please do me a big huge favor, hit subscribe. You can find that button right over here. Off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Before we go in the building, check it out. This is just their parking lot. They set up a special event for their employees today. They've got a couple of really cool cars parked up here, and they just won a desert event with this monster truck thing over here. Check it out. This is actually made for desert racing, and you can see it's all kind of chewed up back here. I mean, you can tell this is a very purpose-built vehicle. They've even got their trophies up here. This is just something they're doing that is pretty cool for their employees to show how successful they've been at a lot of these races. Just look at how chewed up this thing is in the front. I mean, this thing is a monster, literally. But I want to go inside. We'll find Rich, my good buddy, who actually had me come out here, and he will show us the behind-the-scenes look at everything they do that's MagnaFlow. So this is what it looks like in the front door of the facility. It is absolutely beautiful in here. You can see the offices, the ceiling goes way up. It's kind of hard to capture all this on camera, but they've got their little seating area. A lot of their awards and accolades right over here to the right. You've got the Throttle Viper actually sitting right here. You guys saw me cover this car at Roadkill Nights, and they're actually fairly local to this facility, and they have their car sitting right in here. How cool is that? They've actually got an S550 Mustang over there on a roller, so you can see the underside of the car. And then they've got a high-speed car down there, which actually is it looks insane, to be honest with you. But check this out. It's their revolver truck. You may have seen this on other social media channels, but they have 8 different mufflers on this that are all functional. Literally, you can just move this thing around like a revolver. Take a look at the back of this thing. It is the craziest looking deal, but you can hear different exhaust tones with their different mufflers. I think that is really neat. Of course, TJ Hunt Supra's back here, and they've got a whole bunch of offices and stuff upstairs. But I want to go find my good buddy, Rich. He is the one who's going to take us through our tour of the facility, and we have all sorts of fun stuff planned for today. All right, well, I found my good buddy, Rich. Rich, we have been working together for years now, and I'm so glad I finally got up here to Oceanside to view and check out everything you guys do here at MagnaFlow. So thank you for having me up. And you obviously are a spokesperson and a senior manager here at MagnaFlow. Been with the company 20 plus years. Yep. And today, what are we gonna do today?
So today we've got an entire facility tour. So we're gonna take you from shipping, receiving, we're gonna go all the way out to production, take a look at the tech center to kind of see what we put in everything. Okay. And I've got the tech center set up so that we can do a little bit of workshopping for you.
Take a look at this manufacturing facility MagnaFlow has. Now, they do a lot of catalytic converter business, which we will actually see, but you can see just how big, how massive this place is. They have jigs, and they've got all sorts of stuff here for creating all this different product. You can see they've got welders over here doing their thing. If you go over here, you can actually see they've got catalytic converters coming hot off the press. This is one of my favorite places in the whole factory. Obviously, you've got mufflers right here, and you guys work really hard on your sound for these mufflers, but I think what a lot of people wonder is, what the heck is in your mufflers? And so this is a good place to show us, right?
Yes, definitely that. So here you can see where we have the stampings for the bodies, where we put the inlets and outlets,
yep,
and the shell. So we're all familiar with this look.
Right.
That's what we're here to look at, is to see what's inside.
Exactly.
And there's a lot more that goes into this than kind of meets the eye, you know. One of the things that maybe isn't as well understood is that we will use perforation patterns that are basically designed for each of the specific cars. So while these are both 3-inch tubes, you'll find that one of them here is a different perf pattern. And while our universals use the same, all of our application-specific vehicles will have a perf core that's designated for that particular engine and powertrain. So what you see in our direct fit kits that you buy, like the X Mod, are uniquely tuned for that vehicle. So just because it has the same body in our universal line, it's not necessarily going to produce the same sound.
Yeah, it's not the same inside. And you guys spend a lot of R&D hours working on your sound.
Yes, we do. And
So
that's something, it also is derivative of performance too. So when we get to the other facility, we'll definitely talk about it, but the sound part is an important, critical part as well, which you'll see that we use 2 different stages of packing. We have our internal cores, and you'll see if you like the dual tip look, we got a double outlet single, or we have our singles, but ultimately it comes down to the 2 different packing materials. We have a coarse stainless that covers the perforation core, which acts as a heat dampener and changes the acoustics a little bit. And then behind us, you'll see where we have the rock wool, and we're cutting that to fit to be inserted in, and that's what gives us that distinct deep MagnaFlow tone.
Yeah.
And you'll see here, this is all cut for the proper density based upon every application. Universals, again, get a standard amount, but then when it comes down to what goes into our specific vehicle applications, these are all cut and sized by the machine to make sure that it gets the right amount of packing to get the same sound.
So every MagnaFlow muffler is just packed to the gills, full of that stuff.
Yes. And rock wool, as you can see, this is not fiberglass. I'm handling this.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It's not going to be something that's going to make you itchy. And if you understand what rock wool is, it's basically lava rock that gets put up to its melting point, put in a centrifuge and spun out into this very dense material. And I know you can't quite imagine what the weight is, but this is actually quite a bit heavier than what you would find as a fiberglass. But more importantly than the synthetics, this guy has a melting point that's much higher, and that's how we can offer that lifetime warranty, is because this packing material won't burn out, and if for some reason you have some condition in the vehicle that causes it, it's covered under warranty.
I got you. So that's actually, that's rock that you guys put under super high heat and turn into that.
Yes, it gets spun out like cotton candy.
That is insane to me. Just take a look at all the different shapes and sizes of these mufflers. It's crazy to look at. This is getting ready to go get all the treatment he already talked to us about. Right over here, you can see all of that rock wool just ready to go to pack those mufflers behind me. And this is only a small sampling of all the work that's being done to get these mufflers ready to go. I'm actually in an area where they do a lot of the performance exhaust, so one of my favorite areas of the facility. And this is actually where they keep a lot of the XMod parts, which is the systems that I keep on my cars. You guys know I love the XMod system. I have them on all of my performance cars. Check out those valves in there. And then as you jump up here, you can see they've got different components. This is the pipe that actually has the Helmholtz resonator to cancel drone. You've got the tips area right here. Look at these tips, carbon fiber, absolutely beautiful. This is one of the baddest systems on the market, and I just love the way that it sounds. Here, you've got those patented mufflers from MagnaFlow with their unique sound, all packaged up, ready to go into an XMod box. And they even have the fixtures right here for when they actually make these things. Here, that's the tips right there. And then you can see right over here, you've got one of the mufflers. So this is actually what it looks like when they're doing all the welds on these pieces. So I actually put those there for illustration, but you can see all these getting ready to get packaged up and put out there in XMod boxes and shipped out to everybody. I just thought that was kind of neat to show you guys. So I actually want to go take a look at something really unique and see why MagnaFlow exhaust performs so well. All right, Rich, so really quick, because you were just mentioning something interesting to me about the XMod system, because it is very unique. It's one of the best products on the market. That's why I love it. But maybe you can tell us a little bit more about a new product you guys actually created.
Well, you're familiar with the technology is NDT, and that's basically what we do to get rid of all the drones. So you can have the 2 different stages. You're a pretty big fan of the muffled version, but when you do want to go extreme, you use the straight pipe. Our Extreme Delete is able to operate still without that unwanted drone, and that comes from our NDT technology, which uses things such as Helmholtz as well as quarter wave tuning. Basically, we have our primary airflow, and then we have this offshoot. But we have a lot of customers that say, hey, I've already invested into an exhaust system that was custom made for my vehicle. So we took this and put it in a box and created our XMod universal muffler. This
I had no idea you guys did this until right now.
A straight response to what customers were looking for was, how do I get that without knowing how to do that fillet welding and cutting into the tubing and doing all of the science behind it? So what we did is we created a muffler. So all you have to do is put this where the existing muffler was. It's still just a straight through muffler.
I see.
We do have a secondary port that comes out the side. And that's very similar to the port we put into what you saw on the Challenger and Charger XMod. Now with this, you're able to have all of our straight through airflow and all the sound characteristics. But now we've included some parts so that you can basically tune your vehicle to have a frequency cancellation at the frequency that you need to have it canceled
Oh,
at.
see, that's cool. See, and that's one of the coolest things about the X mod that I love is that NDT or no drone technology, and you guys have actually made a way that people can do it on their existing systems with this product right here.
And probably the most common question we get with this is, well, how do I know how to tune it?
Yeah.
And that's the best part. We've actually isolated the frequencies that are most common for the drone. And we have a 14-inch extension here, another 14 to 18-inch extension here because you can slide it, and then our NDT resonator. And you don't need to do the math. This is something you do with your own ear and based upon the frequency you think is annoying. So with the different changes, you can do things from a quarter wave resonator with just a cap on it. That'll give you the lowest frequency because the wavelength is relative inversely to the thing. If you're talking about high frequencies, that's like 20,000 hertz, low frequencies down to 20 hertz. The longer the tube gets, the different sound that it cancels. So you don't have to know what length you need to make it. It's sort of like a trombone. The longer you make it, the different sound you create. And with the cap or the resonator tube, you can actually further cut this down to really fine tune it just right for your vehicle.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
So we can accommodate just about anything with this, and this kit gives you everything you need to do it at home.
Right.
With just your ear.
Well, and for much less money than a full catback exhaust system.
Exactly.
All right, so this is actually something really cool, Rich. I can't wait to actually look at this because you were telling me a little bit about it, but you've got a flow machine behind you, and I know you guys work so hard on getting just the right tone on your MagnaFlow exhaust. That's why I love them. But I know your systems are also, they do more. Some of your systems actually make pretty good power, and I've always wondered how you do that, and maybe you could kind of tell us a little bit about some of the engineering that goes into your systems.
Well, the sound is a very important product, but the power is what makes the decision of whether or not we make the system. If it doesn't make power, we don't produce it. And that's something that goes into understanding one of these principles. We oftentimes get that question. You know, X mod gives you the ability to do a straight mod or extreme delete, and it gives you the opportunity to do the other mod, which is our muffler module.
Right.
And inside of that, people are like, oh, well, I want to go dyno it with this because I perceive that this is going to be what's going to flow the best. And I think today we'll show that why this straight tube, which is just a standard piece of 18-inch straight 3-inch, and this muffler, which is an 18-inch perforated core and a packed muffler, which it's a little hard to see there, but that's the same.
That's what's in there, right? Exactly.
So same component. Why the perception of this performing better than this is just a perception.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to go ahead and put this on the flow bench.
All right.
And fire it up.
Let's see. All right.
We got our baseline. That's our straight 3-inch tube. And next we're going to show what it does with the muffler. So we'll get these swapped out.
Yeah. So we saw like 662, something like that.
Right at peak, yes.
Yeah. All right. And
we'll see what this does now.
That's so surprising to me that thing outflows a straight pipe. I'm not sure I understand why. Maybe you can tell me.
So that is the common misconception, and I think it's reinforced by some other observations without understanding why things happen. We all are familiar with race cars, and what you typically see is a small muffler or no muffler in straight pipes. And I think people equate that to thinking that's the most efficient way for air to flow. But we can see on the flow bench that this perforated core actually offers a great deal of reduction of surface area because we lose about 30 to 40% of the surface area in all these punches.
Right.
And we get the air flowing against air with these little divots, much like sort of a golf ball flowing through the air versus a smooth ball. The golf ball is going to fly straighter and more efficiently with creating less turbulence with all the frictional resistance around the curves. This emulates that, which gives us better exit speed, which is why we're seeing almost a 40 CFM bump for effectively what is a straight pipe system inside of a muffler. Now, why you say is that then the race car is running this? Well, we all see race cars. What do we talk about race weight? You're a drag racer.
Yeah.
And you know it. Like every pound means something.
Yeah, it's all about weight.
It's probably more about, if we're talking 40 CFM, at best we might be talking about 20 horsepower if the vehicle needs the extra airflow.
Right.
But 14 pounds times 2 versus a couple pounds.
Yeah, 2 pounds maybe.
I mean, it's a big deal. You're saving 25 pounds. In most race cars, it's more about packaging and weight.
right,
than it is about that extra CFM, because we can always go bigger diameter.
Right.
And that's why a lot of race cars have it, and that's kind of why I think a lot of the consumers feel that they see it on a race car, therefore this must flow better.
Yeah, that is really interesting, but that tells you guys why sometimes you see these MagnaFlow systems, and I've seen it on my own personal car, and they do make power. And I'm just amazed that you guys went into all the engineering, all the hours it spent, because that's what makes the sound too, right? The perforations in that tube are what give you guys the unique MagnaFlow sound, but it also moves more air. So Rich, this machine right here, this is a mandrel bending machine, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about why it's so important, and maybe just kind of illustrate exactly what's going on.
Well, the mandrel bend is able to maintain the bend. You can see here the radius doesn't drop.
Right.
And in order to do that, you can see it's got what's called the mandrel. And you can see that this basically allows for the movement inside the die to make sure that when we bend this like a bendy straw, it doesn't collapse in the middle and force the airflow to change. So this device allows us to get those nice bends and never have to lose airflow because of a crush style bend. No necking down at all, so you maintain horsepower. Correct. Yeah, that's super cool. I'd actually like to see how that thing flows like on the bench compared to one that's not mandrel bent. I don't have the same tube, but I got a couple samples that show a crush tube that we can go over there and flow on the bench. Yeah, let's take a look. All right, well, we just saw the mandrel bending process, but let's talk a little bit about why that's important. And I know you've got a couple of samples here for us to look at. So maybe you can tell us kind of why it's such a big deal. So I just took a part here that's a competitive part that has a different type of bending. And you can see that we lose the round size and compression, but we also, because they don't want this thing to completely fail, kind of like a bendy straw, they pre-fatigue the spots where it's supposed to collapse so it doesn't completely block and collapse the pipe. So this is still better than a mandrel-less bend or one that doesn't have these, but inherently all of this creates more resistance as the air goes through. So we'll get a baseline of this, and we're going to compare that to basically the same tube that we have here, but with mandrel. Same diameter with the mandrel bend, which you can see this maintains the diameter all the way through, completely supported, and you're going to get nice even airflow. And that's typically how your exhausts are made with those mandrel bends like we just saw. And what you're going to see basically is a difference, and why these little differences start to add up to a pretty big one. Absolutely. So with our two crush bends, you're looking at about 265 CFM. We're going to replace that and put our two mandrels. Yeah. And see what we got. So again, another 30 plus CFM difference of just having the same diameter tube with two different bends that are no longer crushes that have gone to a full mandrel type. And that's a lot considering we went to a 2-inch tube as well. Correct. So that's flowing a lot more air with just the bends. So that shows how incredibly important it is to get the bends right and to take the extra time to do it. Yeah, and this is the big part about those systems. It's cumulative. It's the little stuff as you go through, which all add up to being big gains. Just take a look behind me, guys. Yes, I have to have my safety goggles on, as you can imagine, but look at all the exhaust product. This is finished product, getting ready to go. It's already ready to go on the shelves. You can see that traditional MagnaFlow packaging on the outside. It goes all the way up 40 feet into the air, and it's got rows and rows and rows of stuff ready to go out, packaged and just ready to order. And I think it's really neat when you can see something this big all the way to scope going all the way back there. I'm a car guy, so this is just like I'm in geek heaven right now. Rich, tell me a little bit about where we're standing right now, because I am absolutely in awe of how big this place is. It's huge. Well, we do international shipping, so everything that starts out on our assembly line comes to this building before it goes to whatever retail you're buying from, online or brick and mortar. It comes from this location here. Right. 2 million parts a year start their journey to your desktop and our customers' homes in this facility. 2 million. And that's just to give you the scope, and obviously you can go through these aisles, 45-foot ceilings. Yeah. And you'll see that the conveyor system and the forklifts here basically take everything from our full catbacks to our catalytic converter line products down to our universals. Right. And if you're ordering something from us directly online, you'll actually see that come down the conveyor system, and that'll ship within 10 minutes of that order. 10 minutes, what you were saying yesterday, 10 minutes it takes to get that order through. And you guys have all this going. I mean, it's huge. I just can't get over how big this place is. It's awesome. It's the only way we can get everything everybody wants out quick enough. That is so cool. All right, Rich, well, tell me a little bit about what we got going on over here, because I'm noticing
not everything here is performance exhaust related. You guys have a lot of other stuff, so.
We definitely do, and that's something that most people know us for, is the performance part. And while we're a big player in that market, that's still only a small fraction of all the things we do in the exhaust world. And behind me, you can kind of see what goes on in the catalytic converter world.
Yeah.
And we do quite a bit there. So we have our traditional cats, and you saw those when we first walked in.
Right.
The clamshell types, and this is a spun body. It's a little different. You can see it's actually one solid piece of material. We actually have the brick that goes inside. This is a ceramic substrate. This is what contains all those precious metals people are stealing out of cars.
Oh, gee, that's what they're after.
And then we put it into a body, and we actually shape this down to create the same thing that you're used to looking at in a traditional catalytic converter.
Yeah.
But all of that is only possible with engaging with all the different technology out there, because we're a made in USA company that wants to do it with the best technology to keep all the costs under control.
Yeah.
And as you can see, we saw in the muffler department, we have robotics everywhere inside the building, but we have a nice mix of both craftsmanship and people and robots to make sure that we can build a product in the most efficient way possible.
Sure. Well, so performance exhaust is only a little bit of what you guys do here. And yeah, this is a lot of what you do here.
Pretty much everything from the manifold all the way down to the tip. If it's got exhaust through it, we're going to have some kind of product, whether it's an OEM replacement to a catalytic converter or outright what you love to have, the X-Mod exhaust part.
Exactly. This area is specially designed for all of their fixtures, and they make so many different types of exhaust products for so many different makes of cars. And you can see they have to have different types of fixtures for each car. Like right over here, you've got a pallet, and on this pallet, you've got all the different jigs or fixtures, if you will, to make an exhaust product, to do the welding and all the things they have to do to take it from raw steel to what you get installed on the car. And it's so crazy to look at, because just look at how much of it, and it goes all the way down, and it's just so crazy to think about how much work has gone into this place. Just take a look at all of the steel that they use here, just rolls and rolls of it, and you can see how much these things weigh, 4,420 pounds, and just how much of it they have. You really have to be here to take it all in. But man, these guys manufacture a lot of product. Look at it going all the way down. It is, it's impressive. Well, guys, that is about it for my tour of the MagnaFlow facility in Oceanside, California. I didn't get to cover but a fraction of everything they're doing here. What an amazing plant, manufacturing facility. So much R&D happening behind the scenes with MagnaFlow. You got to see how their systems make so much power, how they get everything shipped so fast. I mean, it is truly a wonder how they get all of this stuff done so effectively, but they do it. I love the sound of these mufflers. Obviously, that's why I started working with MagnaFlow, and I could not be happier with getting to come out here finally and hanging out with these guys a little bit. Huge shout out to my buddy Rich. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.